in
just one?
January, yeah.
The whole month.
You know what, from
Is it
now
just one
on,
letter
get
or
them in
is several
December
letters?
and freeze them, because they freeze very good.
They do freeze well.
Yeah.
Will we have
I'll
a member
remind
of the
you.
public or anyone in attendance would like to lead us in a
That's important. That's
prayer?
reference to this right here.
Mr. Hunter? Okay, good. Thank you. And we'll follow that with the pledge.
Dear Father, thank you today. Thank you for allowing us all to be here. Thank you for our help. Help guide us in our meeting tonight to make the right decisions, do what's best for this community, and do what's best for these children. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Tuesday, January 21st, 2020 school board meeting. First of all, we will go to the amendments to the agenda. Have one amendment. That amendment will be item 2.1, Allied Health Contract with NFC. And we'll move that down to the items for individual consideration, and that'll be item 5.1A. 5.1A. Okay. Public comment. Do we have any? Okay. Consent agenda items. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to accept the consent agenda items.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Williamson. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Items for individual consideration. Item 5.1, student field trips out of county. Ms. Joseph.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I've got several field trips, not several, I've got 2 field trips. I got a field trip by the 2nd grade to Legoland, and this trip, lead students April the 9th, and it's paid for doing fundraisers. And you just approved those fundraisers. And the lesson plan to go with that field trip is attached, and also the students and the chaperones attached. Also, on February 7th, the group of high school students will be going to South Georgia Regional Library for a to visit the Black History Museum on Wheels, and this is being paid for by a federal grant and student funding to cover transportation. And that's from the high school. We've got another field trip to Florida Gateway College, and this is going to be an overnight trip, and it's a science fair. So 1 bus for 2 days. And it's for the kids that's participating in the science fair. And those are all of, those are all of our trips.
Okay. After hearing from Ms. Joseph concerning the out-of-county student field trips, do we have a motion to approve?
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any problem with any of the field trips, but I know we're short on buses. Do we have the buses for 2 buses to be gone for 2 days in a row?
Okay, the Lee field trip.
No, it's the science fair
The
one.
science fair field trip, well, they have to go down and talk with the bus shop, so the bus shop have approved and says they can handle it.
And if I can say one thing, when y'all approve a field trip, you're saying that you authorize it. Now, if the superintendent finds that she doesn't have the buses or whatever, the superintendent's free to say, no, you can't.
Okay.
you can't go, she's not bound, you know.
Because I know right before Christmas, they had so many down that they were short one
Right.
in making the route, and so,
But I have spoken with Hyde and told him our first priority is transportation of the kids to and from schools. That's our first priority.
okay.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve the field trips.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Mr. Alford. Would there be need for discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Item 5.1A, Allied Health Contract with NFC. Ms. Joseph.
Okay, our next item that's up for approval is an agreement, and this has been an oversight, and the reason it's been an oversight is because the person in North Florida have been sending it to the wrong person, and Melinda finally got it, but we still need to approve it. It is for them, we allow their nursing students to come on our school site and get their clinical hours. And so that's why it's dated October 1st, and that's what this is for. And they do they help in the clinic out of the central school.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the Allied Health contract?
I make the motion to approve the contract with North Florida College and the Allied Health Department.
Second.
All right, I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Alford, seconded by Ms. Bell. There'll be a need for discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Item 5.2, interventionists. Ms. Joseph.
Okay, Mr. Chair, back on October 21st, you approved a standard contract form for us to hire interventionists for this Madison County Central School. This is being paid for out of that's the TISA grant. Now, since then, they have interviewed most of the people, and they have hired and they have begun work. And what I have presented to you are the names of the persons that's working with the interventionist program out at Madison County Central School and their projected start date.
Okay. After hearing from Ms. Joseph, do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the interventionists.
Have a motion on the floor by Ms. Gibson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Williamson. Will there be a need for discussion?
I just want to say that in the future, and Ms. Joseph has handled this, I mean, she was taken by with it just as much as the board was. Initially, we did approve two initial names, Ms. Hubbard and Cindy Ellington, and for whatever reason, the others did not come to us. I don't know if it was, I don't want to speculate, but again, I feel that moving forward with this administration, and Ms. Joseph, by no means am I saying that because she was just as much in the dark as the board was, all names need to come before us before we enter into a contract or they begin work, period, in my opinion. I think it's a liability. I think it's a risk management issue. That has been our past practice in the past, that before anyone started to work, the only exception was with teachers, and they started to work with sub-pay. With these interventionists, they're contracted, and they're going to be paid their contracted rate. And I just don't think it's right for them to start without having board approval. And in the future, I request that we do have board approval, and I request that it go through human resource and not the school site for the school hiring these individuals, because to be honest, no one at the school has that authority to bypass the superintendent, because the superintendent is to make the recommendations and send it to us. No one at the school site has that authority to just hire people.
Thank you, Mr. Alford. I'd like to have Mr. Reeves give us his take on this also.
These are not employees, it's my understanding, these are contracted folks. So, of course, with the contract has to be approved by this board before it is effective. And so, yes, I think any individual contracts with individual folks to perform services at the schools has to come and be voted on by this board before it's effective. So, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, it needs to come back here before a person starts work and before they start doing anything that they expect to be paid for.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Reeves. I wanted to say that I'm very happy that this grant is in effect. I think it's going to be very beneficial for Madison County Central School. And I know most of the people on the list. They've had many years of experience teaching, so we know, of course, it will benefit the school.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I think it was motioned by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Williamson. And after discussion, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried, 5-0. Item 5.3, staffing table. Mr. Stallnaker and Mr. Blue.
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned before the start of the meeting, that I'm working with Mr. Blue to transition him into the process on some of the things that we do with HR. I don't know how your iPads can view this, how it can see it, but when you open up the staffing table, if you look at the central school, see where it says Title I here in the blue? There should be a red triangle in the right-hand corner. If you hover over that red triangle, that's going to show you the comment. And you can see the comment behind you. It says, added 1 elementary ed kindergarten position, increasing the Title I total from 11 to 12. So that's the position we're adding to the central school. And it's 1 elementary ed paid out of Title I to bring their total of Title I teachers from 11 to 12. So if you click over the tab at the bottom to the high school, you see the UNISIG box where my cursor is. You see the number 2. You also have that red triangle in the corner. It says UNISIG 1920, which is for this school year, was just approved allocating an instructional coach and an intensive reading teacher position. So we want to add those 2 positions to the staffing table. So essentially, as of today, we're adding 3 instructional positions, 1 Title I elementary ed at the central school, and 2 UNISIG positions at the high school. Pending your questions, we are requesting approval for the staffing table.
Okay, after hearing the presentation by Mr. Stallnaker, do we have a motion to approve the presented staffing table?
I'll make the motion to approve the staffing table.
Second.
All right, and properly moved and seconded. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried. Staffing table is approved, 5-0. Item 5.4, monthly financials. Ms. Ely.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
It's on the video.
But anyway, I received the financial information today. I had an opportunity to go over it. I noticed that 3 of the funds are currently operating in a deficit, but 2 others are doing fine. Overall, the finances are in a good position at this time, and with a little more understanding of what's going on with the system, since I've only been on the job 2 weeks, I would say this, that we are going to look closely at those areas where they're operating at a deficit and find out what we can do and get back with you on how to curtail all that excessive spending that people are doing. they can operate a few more months
You gotta go a little bit more than that.
before the new year.
That's encouraging. Okay, all right, so you just want it, it's mostly informational,
Right,
okay. All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, item 5.5, personnel changes. Mr. Stallnaker and Mr. Blue.
Mr. Chairman, in the personnel changes, I want to bring up to you the actual personnel changes themselves. We got 3 folks who are recommending for instructional folks that are recommending for employment. You got Miss Jennifer Stream, Ivory Thomas, and Tamisha Williams, all 3 of those at the Central School. We have 6 non-instructional folks that were recommending for employment. I do want to point out, unfortunately, one of those same people that were recommending for employment, I'm having to recommend her for termination because of not coming to reporting to work. So we hired her, she worked 2 days, and she has not worked any at all last week, and she did not come to work today. I spoke to her last Friday, she assured me she'd be here today. She didn't show up, she didn't call. So anyway, I did want to address that because you're going to see her name in recommendations and also in resignation/termination box. We also have Valerie Bass requesting extended leave of absence due to medical issues. And then the rest of the folks are, you got 4 recommendations for resignation and then 1 termination. Then you have, at the bottom, you have 3 people that are recommended for substitutes. Any of your questions?
Yeah, I think probably on the one, I think Ms. McQuay that we've got in there and you've already added her into payroll, I think probably the better way to handle that would be for the superintendent to go ahead and inform the board that you're withdrawing the recommendation. They can vote to approve that withdrawal. And then the employee was never hired. So you've got to recommend they've got to actually approve for them to be hired.
We still have to pay her for the 2 days she worked.
Sure.
My question, if they ever go back and audit the records, they'll see her in our payroll system, but
Right.
we'll never see any.
But they'll have, just like they'll have the minutes of this meeting, if we do it this way, they'll have the minutes of the meeting saying she was approved and then terminated.
Okay.
They'll have the minutes of this meeting saying that they approved your withdrawal of the name and approved the pay for the, however many days they've been working, 2 days.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation to the,
Okay, well, Mr. Chair, with this we are presenting to you, I would like to remove Donnell McQuay's name from the list, from the recommendation as well as the resignation.
and also get authorization to pay those, however many days.
2 days.
2 days that she worked.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, we need to vote on removing or.
I think you can do it the same way you would normally do it, which is approve the whole thing. But what's being recommended, instead of having her hired and fired, it would be just to not have her hired, and then that way there's no contract out there that anyone can ever try to seek some remedy on.
Okay, after hearing the presentation coming from Mr. Stallnaker, do we have a motion to approve the staffing personnel changes?
I make the motion to approve the personnel changes. I would like to withdraw Donnell McQuay from being hired and authorized to pay for the 2 days she's worked.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alford, seconded by Ms. Bell. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel changes
We have
been
one more
received
part.
and adopted.
We have one more part, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Based off of the staffing table change, we do need to get authorization to fill those 3 positions. And you've got, in board docs, you've got 3 requests to fill. 1 for my intensive reading teacher, 1 for my instructional coach, and 1 for the Central School's elementary ed teacher. We just need permission to advertise and fill them.
Okay, do we have a motion to advertise and fill.
I'll make the motion to approve that we advertise and fill the positions that we have approved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Ms. Bell. Would there be a need for discussion?
May I make a comment in here? Okay, I want to explain why we are requesting the kindergarten position at this specific school, because at present it's an average of 24 kids in those classrooms. The required rate is 18-1. Okay, even with adding one teacher, that would leave us with an average of 18-1. So that's why we're not just bombarding, says we need a teacher there. We really need a teacher there when you have at least 24 students in each one of those kindergarten classes.
So this will make 4 kindergarten teachers?
That will make 5.
5, okay.
Yes. Since January, we've got about 15 new kindergarten students at Madison County Central. It's good news, but all of them going in the same grade.
Well, we'll take care of it.
Any
Any other
further
questions, Mr.
discussion?
Chair?
I'm sorry.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Stolnicker? Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor. All in favor? Opposed? 5-0. Motion carried. All right, superintendent items, 6.1.
Okay, I've got a few things. If you haven't received your formal invitation, I want to remind you of a few dates that's coming up. On Thursday, January 30th at noon, they'll have the SRP luncheon, and that's going to be at the high school in their culinary department. Yes, you're on program. Okay, on that same day, which is January the 30th. This is at 6:30 p.m. And y'all were talking about this earlier. That's the Teacher of the Year banquet. And that's also at the high school. Okay, on January 23rd, this Thursday, they're having a district speech competition. I don't know where that is.
The Tropicana,
The Tropicana.
Tropicana
Yes.
District.
All of y'all know that the FAS winter meeting is going on in Tallahassee, Wednesday through Friday. And one thing we're gonna try new here, we'll have a data review for each school individually in this district office on next Monday, and we will have some people from the Bureau of School Improvement will be with us. So each school will come in and do a presentation of their data and where they are and where they are striving to be by assessment time.
Good.
And that's gonna be next Monday. And that's it.
Is that open for anyone that wants to go?
Board members or people from the school can come when their school is presenting.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it, okay. Attorney Reeves.
No, sir, not unless you have questions of me.
All right, Ms. Gibson.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate the district champions in our spelling bee contest. For the district, first place Addison Hammock, and second place Rayhana Williams. They're both from Madison County Central School. I'd also like to acknowledge the individual school winners and those that participated. I know everyone will benefit from their participation. I'd also like to congratulate the girls and boys basketball teams on their successes so far this season. Also, the Madison County Cowboys win in the War of the Border game. I'd like to thank all the coaches for what they do. There will be literacy nights at both Madison County Central School and Pinettas Elementary on January 28th. And I will be attending legislative days in Tallahassee this Wednesday and Thursday. Thank you.
Ms. Williamson.
No, I just want to welcome Miss Ely and Dr. Blue, and we're glad to have you on board.
Ms. Bell.
I would like to welcome Mrs. Ely and Mr. Blue also.
Mr. Off.
I'd like to welcome Dr. Blue and Ms. Seeley. I also will be attending Thursday the Capitol to the legislative days in And again, wish everybody a great back to school.
Okay, all right. And likewise, I also wanted to welcome aboard the Blue and Ms. Ely. Just wish you well, and wish you the best. Okay, all right. At this time, public comment, non-agenda items.
I'll pass your seat, you know.
Okay. Mr. Donnell Davis, subject school system. And just be advised, we have a 3-minute limit, and the board is not at liberty to answer any questions.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon.
I just have a couple of questions, a couple of concerns of the vision of the school system. I guess direct to Ms. Joseph first. I guess kind of acting to Greenville, first of all, because last year we went through the same stage. And you said it was gonna be some major changes, and the major changes I seen was 5 major changes: Stallmaker, Ms. Wild Goose, Ms. Yolanda Davis, and those two, Ms. Ely and Ms. Bonds. What was the other major changes you did as far as hiring?
I think he said we weren't gonna answer any questions.
Okay, secondly, y'all, the thing of it is, it's mind-boggling to me. There's no stability out of all the schools. Greenville back in the same boat. Last year, you was there. Next semester, Yolanda was there. Now you got Ms. Wild Goose there. Then next is, who else? Started on Ms. Wild Goose retiring. So what is it, the mission that we say we want to educate our students in a safe, quality learning environment and ensure the students' success? How can you ensure them success when you have no stability? And it started with a vision. I don't know what the vision you guys have. And then second, it was a 5-2 agenda. The people you hire, you have a principal that resigned, said they can't do this job. And then you go pay her $35 an hour to come out to the school when she gave a resignation that you say you left me in bad shape, that you moving all these people around, but then you go hire them. And I think that's, like Bart said, it's bad that I know Karen Pickers can pass over and put people on the board before you name them. But I don't understand, how can someone that don't have time for the same kids, but you could come back and give them another job on the side? Anyone can answer that question for me? Chair?
No, we're not allowed to.
Y'all not allowed to ask a question. So what's the vision? I mean, what's the vision? I don't understand. We just went through this same type of situation in Greenville. They just hired another teacher, but Greenville can't get another parable to help the kids out, to balance out. I mean, they got a little 131 kids, but there's nothing Greenville can get. It's a swamp in Greenville. We're not adding to Greenville. This is what Ms. Shirley said. We're not adding to Greenville. We're not getting no more teachers in Greenville. What is Greenville? Greenville is just a third world city, a school. I mean, why Greenville can't never accomplish anything? Pinellas had some bad issues in Pinellas. And as a leader, first thing, you should be able to listen to everyone. And parents shouldn't be able to come down here and come to the board, the superintendent, and let them handle the thing. It's a change of command. And I don't think we have a great change of command, because people feel confident when you can come down here, you can speak directly, or you can text directly to the superintendent, things get done. You know, it's nothing I'm saying off the record or saying that's not fact that I can back it up from. And it's kind of bad, because Greenville, out of every school, Greenville is the same situation we're going through again.
Okay. All right, your time is up. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Okay, now I ask you a question. How can I get on the agenda next time so I can get some response back from this? Because it's major issues, because I have kids in Greenville school, and they're not getting the same thing Pinellas and Lee is getting. So I have questions, so how can I get on the agenda so I can get a response back? Because I left a message for her, she didn't call me back, she didn't have my number.
Well, to answer your question, the agenda goes through the superintendent. And so the majority of your concerns are with the superintendent. So I would encourage the both of you if you can and will, to discuss the issues at hand.
All right.
Thank you. You know, on that note, that will conclude this portion of the regular school board meeting. Immediately following this meeting, we will have a brief recess and we'll have a closed meeting for expulsion, an expulsion hearing. So we'll dismiss for recess for 5 minutes and we'll re-adjourn for the expulsion hearing. This meeting has been called to a close.